cheat on your wife, that makes you a scumbag. Let's just start there, full stop.
The CEO of a billion-dollar business is in damage control after his affair with a colleague was exposed.
We're going to continue to expand globally.
Andy Byron, CEO of a billion-dollar AI company, and Kristen Cabot, his head of human resources, were seen shrinking in panic at the concert. He's married with teenage children. Kristen Cabot has been divorced for 3 years. She was hired just 8 months ago. And now that 15 seconds of video is having a devastating impact on both of their lives.
An employee accuses CEO Andy of being toxic, says former employees are cracking up over the video. The married CEO was caught on the big screen with the company's HR chief at the Coldplay concert.
It would appear the future of his marriage doesn't look as exciting.
I feel like this isn't a good way, and if you're gonna get caught cheating, it shouldn't be like this.
Well, maybe he should have thought of that before he was cheating.
It took a scientist to figure out that they didn't want us to see whatever we saw.
Yeah. Man, he dropped out real quick and she turned.
Yeah, because he just realized how many millions of dollars he lost.
Yeah, exactly.
This requires, to me, not one, but 2 resignations.
You do have to think about the children and the spouses. We're all laughing about it, but they're all families and stuff.
There are a lot of families.
I think cheating is an abomination, okay? And this man has a wife, he has children, these kids are gonna have to watch and see this. They don't look, I would be devastated if I was his wife.
This Kiss Cam zeroes in on mortified tech CEO Andy Byron and alleged HR chief mistress Kristen Cabot.
Please stop with the video saying that this was a kiss cam incident. In my honest opinion, when I think back to last night and that whole scenario, someone knew something about those two people being there together. Whether it had been an employee, a cameraman in that section knew, I don't know, someone knew something. Someone knew who he was, she was.
And then someone's gonna end up being at the top. Hey, look, that's a $1 billion company. So, in the corporate world, tech, especially tech, bro, it's a dirty game. People got to do what they got to do to get to the top. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was, somebody who works there or somebody who wants that spot.
This is more than just an affair. This is something that has been building for years. You have to think about it. The corruption of this, the head of a billion-dollar company, has the HR department in his back pocket.
Okay, so there's a photo of them, right? This is their little tech company. This is Andy Byron. And right down here is the chief people officer.
Because I'm telling you right now, that couple, they were up high. They were like in the nosebleeds. And prior to them being zoomed in on, Chris Martin was talking to everyone who's talking in the audience. The camera people were zooming in on. I think there was a couple on the floor that they, zoomed in on. There was a boy celebrating a birthday. I think there was another guy celebrating his birthday. They even zoomed in on I think it was 3 or 4 girls wearing a banana costume. Something is sketchy though, because I'm telling you right now, that was not a coincidence at all. There was no kiss cam happening around, no one else. They were not zooming in on random couples. Someone absolutely knew who those 2 people were, and boom, guess what? They made it on the camera.
This man says he's a former employee of Andy Byron, the man who was caught having an affair with the head of his HR department at a Coldplay concert. And this guy's story is why this affair is more than just an affair. Listen to what he has to say.
If you think his marriage is the only thing that Andy Byron ran into the ground, then I've got a funny story about karma for you. Before being Astronomer CEO, Andy Byron was also Chief Revenue Officer of a different software company, where he hired a lot of hardworking, great people with high hopes for their careers by promising them the opportunity of a lifetime that would completely change their future, solve any financial worries their family or children might ever have. I also had the questionable privilege of being interviewed and hired by him.
But apparently, this couple will not be fans of Coldplay for long.
They're both married, not for long.
Coldplay hasn't made a single in years, and now they just made 2 last night.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Welcome back to Tea Time with Tina. Okay, so the plot thickens. This wasn't just a scandal, it was a system. And according to one explosive insider leak, Andy Byron didn't accidentally fall into controversy. He engineered it. An ex-employee who once worked closely with the leadership at Astronomer just lit a match and dropped it right on Andy's carefully built empire of fear, manipulation, and, let's be honest, straight-up sleaze. According to this former team member, Andy Byron wasn't just the CEO. He was a puppeteer, pulling strings behind closed doors while pretending to be the face of a booming booming AI company.
As you can imagine, he's very persuasive, considering he managed to convince his own chief people officer to go to a public concert while they were having an affair. He also convinced me and a lot of my former colleagues to join him in that company. He convinced investors to invest almost $2 billion.
But here's the thing. People inside the company weren't buying the act. They saw the favoritism. They saw how Kristen Cabot, his alleged affair partner and HR chief, suddenly got fast-tracked through the ranks. They saw how real talent was ignored while Andy played office politics like a frat boy with a god complex. And worse, they were too scared to speak up. The ex-employee claims that anyone who questioned Byron's decisions or even got too close to discovering the affair suddenly found themselves iced out, written up, or pushed out. You know, the classic oops, your role has been eliminated tactic. Except it wasn't a restructuring, it was retaliation. And that's not all. This insider says Kristen Cabot wasn't just part of the problem. She was allegedly weaponized by Byron to help create a culture where he had control over everything. Hiring, promotions, office dynamics, you name it. Together, they allegedly ruled the place like a toxic power couple from an HBO show no one asked for.
Myself and countless other employees invested their savings into employee stock options, and in a tale as old as capitalism itself, when the company went bust and was sold off for pennies on the dollar, him and other top-level executives left with golden parachutes worth millions of dollars, while low-level employees like myself and many of my colleagues lost tens and sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars of their own savings.
One line from the whistleblower says it all. At Astronomer, the rules didn't apply to Andy. They applied to everyone around Andy. So the next time someone tries to downplay this as just an office romance, remember this. People's jobs were lost, careers derailed, all because a billionaire CEO thought he was untouchable and used HR like his own personal firewall.
They've now locked all their comments. Oh no. Oh no. Is Andy Byron and HR having an affair still hold their positions at the company? Is it ethical?
The problem here is that Andy Byron is married to someone other than Kristen Cabot, who, again, the irony of her being head of HR, and he has 2 children.
Forget the Epstein files. I want to see the text messages of that Astronomer CEO that got caught cheating at the Coldplay concert.
I would pay to be a fly on the wall in the office.
This is pretty viral stuff. Or do we have to get HR involved? I know that HR was involved.
Let's be real. When the Coldplay concert started, no one expected to witness the downfall of an entire tech empire on the stadium jumbotron. But there it was. One awkward cuddle, one cringeworthy turn away from the camera, one married CEO gripping his HR chief like a hormone-charged teenager at prom. And boom, Astronomer CEO Andy Byron's billion-dollar mask shattered in real time. All thanks to the one camera he couldn't outspend or manipulate, the kiss cam.
2 lessons out of this. If somebody promises a no-brainer opportunity of a lifetime, be very skeptical. And if you badly treat and take advantage of people, karma will at some point get you. And sometimes that karma is called Chris Martin of Coldplay. Viva la vida.
Imagine this. You're at a sold-out Coldplay concert. The vibe is wholesome, Chris Martin's voice is angelic, and then the kiss cam pans over a couple who look panicked. Not shy, not giggly, panicked. Kristen Cabot, head of HR at Astronomer, literally whips her back to the lens like she's dodging a subpoena. Andy Byron, her boss, her CEO, her married CEO, looks like he just saw a ghost and then tried to shrink into his seat like a guilty kid caught with a lighter near fireworks.
Chris Martin sending out a warning to concertgoers days after an appearance on the big screen had a man and woman ducking for cover.
Yeah. Oh, look at these people. All right, come on. You're okay? What the having an affair or very shrunk.
The Coldplay frontman's assumptions seemingly accurate, as the man, identified as married Astronomer CEO Andy Byron, has since resigned from his position. The woman he was spotted getting close with? That's the company's head of HR, Kristen Cabot, who Byron is not married to.
Chris Martin, bless his soul, even joked, either they're having an affair or they're just very shy. Wrong, Chris. They were very exposed, and not in the cute way. The internet didn't just run with this. It sprinted. It didn't take Sherlock Holmes to figure out who these 2 corporate lovebirds were. A TikTok user, who very clearly worked at Astronomer, posted the video with the now legendary caption, "Oh my God, is that our CEO, Andy Byron, and HR chief, Kristen Cabot, and that, friends, is when the dam broke."
Who blew the whistle? The 2 executives caught on that now infamous Coldplay kiss cam were first identified on a TikTok account of someone who apparently works at the company. Oh my God, that looks like Astronomer CEO Andy Byron and Astronomer Chief People Officer Kristen Cabot.
Not only did this person know exactly who they were, they knew Kristen's precise job title, knew both were married, knew exactly what kind of internal storm this was about to unleash, and they let it fly. A Coldplay concert turned into a corporate crime scene, and the body was Astronomer's reputation. Turns out, this wasn't some wild coincidence. The leaker was reportedly a former employee, recently fired under shady circumstances, and now they're speaking out, claiming the affair between Byron and Cabot was an open secret inside the company.
The text groups and chains of former employees are like everybody's laughing their ass off. Byron was also accused of having a reputation for being toxic and aggressive.
Many people in the company knew that he was sleazy, previously worked for him. Moral of the story, don't go to a Coldplay concert.
That's right. So let's review. The CEO and the head of HR, the two people most responsible for setting ethical boundaries, were allegedly sneaking around like teenagers with a curfew, and employees too scared to say a word. This wasn't a one-night oopsie. This was a full-on, months-long workplace soap opera, allegedly complete with favoritism, backdoor hiring decisions, and Slack messages that could burn the company to the ground.
Which means he can do whatever he wants, and he can get rid of people however he wants, even if it's unjustified. There's a lot of companies, a lot of investors, a lot of employees that are relying on this man, Andy. Yet he's brazen enough to go to a Coldplay concert and not care who sees him. That's why this is such a big story. It's the HR department and the CEO essentially telling all of their employees, do as I say, not as I do.
Now let's talk about Kristen Cabot, the woman hired to protect the employees, to ensure workplace fairness, and to uphold company culture. Instead, she's allegedly out here fast-tracking her own benefits package. No, not that one. The other one. The rumors say she got rapid promotions, influence over decisions, and even control over internal culture shifts. Basically, Kristen was out here playing Monopoly with HR policies while cuddling her boss in public. And then, when caught, poof, her LinkedIn vanished faster than Andy's credibility.
52-year-old Kristen Cabot's fate still hangs in the balance.
Andy Byron, and right down here is the Chief People Officer, Kristen Cabot, Chief People Officer. Although the weird thing is that if you click on their LinkedIns, and poof, they're gone.
Eventually, the Astronomer board pulled the plug. Andy Byron resigned. Kristen Cabot ghosted. No apology, no comment, no accountability. They didn't even bother with a joint statement or some PR spin about mutual respect or pursuing personal growth. They ran, cowards. Meanwhile, Astronomer's interim CEO is left sweeping up the digital rubble.
The New York Post front page headline, Dumbotron. I spoke with workplace expert Stephen Viscusi.
This requires, to me, not one, but two resignations.
Fortune magazine is predicting severe consequences for the company's culture, reputation, and financial stability.
So I'm in HR, and I'll tell you exactly what's happened in the last 12 hours with the CEO of Astronomer and the head of people, that they're having an affair, and it's been found out. First off, she's already been scrubbed off the company website. But this is part of probably a very big investigation that is happening right now. They're dedicating a ton of resources to, but also concurrently, while this is happening, because of all this media attention and social media attention that's been transpired, they need a response. Like, they have a PR crisis team just figuring out, all right, what do we say? What do we do? And, obviously, there's going to be heads that are probably going to roll right now. They're going to find out who knew, what was said. Were they doing this during company time?
While the public still can't stop laughing at the kiss cam footage that ruined their careers. And then came Megan, Andy's wife, the unsung hero, the queen of silent power. She didn't rant, didn't scream, didn't go on a podcast tour to cry about betrayal. She just dropped his last name from her socials and walked away like a boss.
Eagle-eyed observers online noted his wife has already changed her Facebook profile, removing her married name.
His wife has now deactivated her account. The wife later dropped her married name on her Facebook account.
That one quiet move, more iconic than anything Andy has ever accomplished. Megan became the internet's favorite symbol of dignity and revenge. Just quiet, cold, and classy.
What a class act. Go Megan. Get that divorce lawyer and get the money. Okay, so
Let's call this what it really was. Not just an affair, but an entire failure of leadership. Andy Byron wasn't just unfaithful. He was irresponsible, arrogant, and delusional enough to think he could sneak around with his HR chief at a Coldplay concert and not get caught. Kristen Cabot didn't just break professional boundaries. She lit them on fire, poured gasoline, and danced on the ashes. This wasn't a love story. It was a walking HR lawsuit waiting to happen. And the real MVP? Megan. She didn't need to speak. Her silence was louder than their whole affair. So what happens now? Will those Slack messages leak? Will Astronomer recover? Will Kristen ever show her face on LinkedIn again? Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed my content, feel free to check out some of my other videos on the top of the screen. Until next time, stay tuned, stay safe, and stay informed. Only on Tea Time with Tina.